Hi everyone, my name is Tara Hammis and I'm with the Massachusetts Councils on Aging. Every town's Council on Aging and Senior Center is an important part of the community. They provide a variety of services from programming to transportation to community outreach and of course, nutrition. This Cooking as Self-Care series that MCOA has created has been brought to you in part by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts as well as Mass Access, who's dedicated to providing quality programming. I hope you'll enjoy what's next. Welcome back, friends. This is Massachusetts Councils on Aging, Cooking as Self-Care. I am Tara Hammis, and a registered dietitian, member services director, and your guide through one woman's gray hair journey. Did anyone else decide that they wanted to ditch the dye and shave their head last year? And just work with me. Let's go with it. We're going to not focus on the hair. We're going to focus on the inside. We're going to focus on the food. We're going to try not to focus on the bad jokes, but they're going to be with us anyway, just like gray hairs. That said, it's March. It's almost spring. What does spring mean to so many of us? A little renewal, rebirth, and maybe some re-education. That's why this month we're talking about fads and myths, specifically when it comes to older adult nutrition. We want folks to shy away from thinking about foods as being good versus bad, but instead look at food for what it is and what it does for us. And that is what? It nourishes, it brings us together, whether that's family traditions or different cultures. And it also is something that we enjoy. It tastes good. Different foods have different flavors as well as different mouthfeels. So I want folks to be able to look at food in a different way instead of thinking about certain items as something that you have to avoid or the bad foods. And if we are focusing on foods as bad or less healthy, and I promise I'll stop with the air quotes in a second, another way to de-emphasize the bad foods is to eat less of them, so smaller portions. We can eat them less often, and then we can also tweak them, whether that's ingredients within a certain manufactured food or tweak the ingredients in a recipe, which is what we're going to do today. And as we look at building in more healthy foods, which I really prefer to call nutrient rich, which means they have more vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and other benefits we are still learning about, I want folks to look at how we can eat more of those foods. So adding them to our diet, to our meal plan, and crowding out the bad foods, the junk foods. And it is possible. First, it works with switching our mindset, whether that's first or not. And that's why today we are going to make pizza. We're going to make some pizza together, and we're going to make a pizza that is reflective of the season. Like, we're so ready for spring. We're so ready to turn the clocks back, and that's why this pizza is going to feel much more fresh and light and bright, and I cannot wait to make it with you. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, hopefully everyone has washed their hands. Forget that I'm scratching my nose. It's probably cat hair, right? First ingredient. Oh, it's so noisy. First ingredient is some pizza dough. The dough, you can make this dish with whole wheat flour if you want. You can purchase whole wheat pizza dough, even though it's a little bit harder to find. I find that it's easier to use the store-bought dough and then add more nutrient-rich ingredients. So that's what we're going to do today. First, let's lightly-ish flour our surfaces. I don't know why I said that plural, because we're only using one surface. So loud. And then take your dough, which should be room temperature. If your dough is cold, it will be harder to stretch it out or roll it out, whichever you prefer. And if that's the case, you will probably try to work with it longer. And the longer you work with it, the more glutinous, the chewier your dough is going to be. So you want to not play with it too much. So let it warm up. It will take hours, especially if you are thawing it from a frozen product. That's okay. Just give yourself some time. I can tell this is going to be pretty. Let gravity be your friend. At least with the pizza dough, right? I'm looking at myself on these videos and not really liking what gravity is showing me. Then again, I'm proud. I look at these jowls that I have and it makes me sad, but then it reminds me that I look a lot like my great-grandmother, and I'm proud of that. Okay, enough with my own self-image and issues for now. All right. The flour helps the dough not stick to your hands as much so that you can work with it, whether you press it out or, again, let it sort of stretch a little bit here. I probably should have told you to preheat your oven at 500. So go ahead and do that if you haven't yet. The hotter your oven, the better, because you really want your dough to rise quickly and up. I'm going to leave that for a second because I forgot first, preheat the oven. I'm all out of sorts apparently today, but it's okay. Preheat your oven to 500 degrees. Grab your well-trusted, well-loved baking sheet, pizza sheet, whatever you like to call it. And we're going to give it a quick spray of oil, whichever kind you prefer, the canola, the olive oil, doesn't matter. And then I like to add about a tablespoon of cornmeal, and this is just based on tradition. My father and my grandmother owned a tavern together, and this was how I knew pizza growing up when it was homemade. And if you think this tray looks bad, you should have seen the ones that they took from the bar. It was crazy. They were delicious. And they also used to, instead of cut the pizza with like a pizza roller or a knife, my dad had like pizza scissors. Let me know if this is something that you're familiar with, because it was new to me years ago. But I always think of that when I go to cut my pizza. All right, so this is about a tablespoon, and we're going to make it, we're going to spread it out a little more evenly. And you have to make that face when you do it. It's like rock and roll pizza. All right. All right, back to the dough. If I'm not humming, I'm dancing to whatever song is playing in my head. Boop, boop, doo. Okay. And boop boop doo is not really the song in my head. So I have the dough and I'm gonna lay it out here with much love. Kind of looks like a little heart right here. I think we could stretch it out a little bit more. Let's just go with it. I'm not gonna get all worried about it. It's pizza. You really can't mess it up. Maybe you can. We're gonna try not to. Okay. One batch of dough. Let's set that over here and let's get this flour off of our hands and move on to the next batch of ingredients, which are the spices and kind of the lube, a little bit of the oil. Take your olive oil. 1/4 cup, ding. 1/4 cup of your olive oil, which when I first made this recipe, I don't want to tell you how many times I've made it. I thought it was going to be too much, but it isn't. Trust me. But you can adjust it if you want. It's fine. Of course, because what do we say? Make it work for you. Make it work for you. 5. 1 teaspoon of dried basil. My wires poking out. Pardon me. I put the mic pack down here. Hopefully the audio is better for you right now. And I just heard a click. Hopefully I didn't turn it off. Could you imagine? Oh, it's been a go. Okay, 1 teaspoon of basil. Add that to the oil. Give it a little couple shakes of salt. I love this old-fashioned salt shaker. I think it was like my great aunt's. I love it, love it, love it, love it. A little fresh pepper. What else are we having? Ah, garlic. You may or may not remember that I've mentioned before, I like to buy the garlic that's pre-minced because it lasts longer in the fridge for me. It's just economical. I don't have to worry about having fresh garlic that I don't use in time and then end up throwing it away because it's starting to sprout. And it's just easy. When you're converting cloves of garlic to teaspoons of garlic, I've seen it 2 different ways. 1 clove is a half teaspoon of garlic and 1 clove could be a teaspoon. So, excuse me, we today are gonna go with 1 clove of garlic equaling 1 teaspoon of minced garlic from the jar. So since this recipe calls for 3 cloves, 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon, voila. Of course, you can use more or less. You can even use garlic powder if you like. When you're converting wet herbs and spices to, well, I'm gonna stick with herbs. Wet to dry, it's a 3 to 1 ratio. So if you had 1/3 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, that could be 1 teaspoon of actual garlic. True story. What am I missing? Okay. So here, I'm gonna leave that there. All right, and then add a pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. I was surprised at the balance between the brightness of the veggies and the lemon juice to the heat of the crushed red peppers. Fabulous, flawless, magnificent. You can find out for yourself, or you can leave those out if you prefer. Mix those puppies up. You can also put these on the dough one at a time, whatever you prefer, but I find mixing them up ahead of time and then adding them to the dough makes it more homogeneous. So let's pour it on here. Look at the magic with the ooh, yeah. I know this looks gross, but that's okay because we already washed our hands. And we're going to put it into a 500-degree oven, which is going to kill a lot of remaining funk or whatever. And by funk, I mean pathogens. I like to spread this all the way to the edges because why not? Your crust is still going to be your crust. Let's bring it all the way out. And before we move on, let's wipe a lot of that oil off of our lovely little hands. And then we'll dry with this beautiful, beautiful towel. All right, the next step, we're tweaking because it's life. This also calls, the recipe also calls for the zest of half a lemon. But I had a few technical difficulties shooting this video. This is the third or fourth time I'm making this video. I'm not bitter, but that means that my poor little lemon doesn't have a lot of peel left for me to zest properly. When you are zesting, you want to make sure that you just shave off the bright yellow parts of the fruit, whether it's an orange or lemon or what have you, grapefruit. You don't want to get down into the white part, which is the pith, because it's much more bitter and it doesn't contain the essential oils. I'm doing this very piecemeal, but it's okay. Boop, 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 boop. A flashback to an 80s little computer. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, it smells really good though. Oh, yes. All right. Your other option is you can take the lemon and slice it and squeeze out like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of lemon juice and add that to the mixture that we applied. Cool, 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 cool. All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, lemon, for serving us so well. All right, dough, oil, spices, lemon, and now what do we need to add to it? The guts. Let's add the guts. So many guts. Let's do the spinach first. Next ingredient, 2 cups of spinach. Sometimes I like to tear off the last little stem on my spinach. But like I said, this was the 4th time that I've shot this video. We're going for it. We're going for it, and we're just gonna rip it up. Rip it up, rip it up. Sorry, Paul Stanley. Sorry, Gene Simmons. 2 cups baby spinach. You can use other green leafy veg if you like. You could add a little bit of arugula for the pepperiness. Spinach is great. Spinach is great. If you are vegan, you can still make this pizza and just use some vegan cheese. That's quite the stem. That one's got to go. No. I have a lot of songs stuck in my head today. Okay. So we have our beautiful spinach on here, and then we're going to add 1 can of artichoke hearts quartered in brine. If you can't remember all of that, don't worry about it. It is on the handout and you can refer to that. So drain them. Definitely drain them well. They are pretty juicy. But that's okay because it doesn't make the pizza like too soggy, which I was actually a little bit worried about. All right, add your can of artichoke hearts, and then we're going to add, let me wipe this off here. We're gonna add our first of 2 cheeses. The first one is a 1/4 cup of Parmesan, whether it's grated or shredded, or even if you have the stuff that's finely processed in that green can, that's fine. Whatever you have, whatever you prefer, go for it. And then we're going to open an 8-ounce package of fresh mozzarella. If you want to buy the pre-shredded mozzarella, it will work too. It's fine. And you just take this and you tear it up and drop it in little pieces on the pizza. The last piece in this recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of pine nuts. They're not cheap, but you can add them to a number of dishes. Toast them up if you want to add them to a salad, if you want to add them to some roasted vegetables. They're awesome. Our pizza is ready to rock. We are going to throw this in the 500-degree oven for about 10 minutes. Seek out a registered dietitian or reliable sources for information. Anyone actually can call themselves a nutritionist, and whether that's someone who's on Instagram, on an infomercial, providing IV therapy, you can take a 3-hour course on introductory nutrition and call yourself a nutritionist. Dietitians have taken specific courses, either at the bachelor's level or now at the master's level. That is the minimum degree required. They also have to complete an internship, complete a national exam, and then maintain continuing education and earn a number of credits every couple of years. The dietitian receives much more vigorous training. There's a lot of science behind their background. I want folks to realize someone who's a nutritionist might not have that same background. Okay, it's been a little longer than 10 minutes, which is all right, but we are going to pull it out of the oven now. And hopefully, we're gonna get an oven facial. You ready? Woo! Okay. That's some Donna Summer hot stuff. There is our finished and well-cooked cheese topped product. This was a little longer than 10 minutes because the dough is thicker. I didn't roll it out all the way, which is fine. As long as you keep an eye on it and pull it out when it starts to get a little golden brown, it'll be good to go. I'm going to call this a deep golden brown. We'll let it cool, we'll cut it up, and I would say we'll give it a try, but I already know what it tastes like because this is like my 4th one that I've made in a couple of days. So we are going to go and give this to some friends that are close by, because it's all about sharing the wealth, being kind to each other, and starting anew, because it's March and it's springtime. And I don't know why I still have the mitt on, but he's kind of funny. I hope that this was helpful and informative and enjoyable. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me either via email or phone. I want to give a special thanks to, I had an intern last year. Her name was Olivia, or is Olivia, and she really helped map out all of our topics this season, and I couldn't have done this without her. So thank you, Olivia. And on top of the thanks to Olivia, I want to thank all of the councils on aging in Massachusetts for all that they do for our older adults, whether that's around food assistance and nutrition or behavioral health in this crazy time that we're living in. They do so much, and if you need assistance with anything, give them a call. Whether it's a council on aging or a senior center in your community, please reach out and ask for help if you need it. Or if you have any questions, give them a call. Continue to take care of yourselves with the self-care of cooking, nutrition, but also getting enough sleep, get some movement. Just know that you are where you are supposed to be right now, and things will be okay. On that note, I will say thank you for being with me. We are moving on to the next one, and I hope to see you then. I hope you enjoy what we have in store. So take care. Thank you. that's hot stuff. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, that is a hot glove. Hot, hot, hot stuff. Oh, dude, that is hot. Do I want you on the counter?
No.
Family show, dude. I hope you enjoyed the program. This is just one of the ways the Councils on Aging are serving folks statewide. If you're looking for more information, please contact your local Council on Aging by calling them or visiting their website. Thank you and be well.